Greetings, Commanders, and welcome back to our weekly Carrier Reposition live stream here in Elite Dangerous. We do this once a week on Sundays at this exact time, just to kind of give everybody a chance to kind of come and hang out and, you know, have kind of an in-person sort of experience so you guys can come and chat and do whatever else we end up doing for all of this. As always, we're going to go ahead and get our first destination popped into here so we can get the countdown started for that. Generally takes us between 15 and 16 minutes to get a jump done, so let's check and see. Yeah, 15 minutes and 30 seconds to get out of here, so that will be good. Generally about this time in the day, that's about how long it takes. If you're not aware, the amount of time it takes for the carrier to actually do its jump will vary depending on server load, how many other carriers are jumping, and things like that. So it's always kind of a question mark when we hop into here. But generally, Sunday evenings are pretty slow. So while we're waiting for that, we're going to go ahead and start getting into the topics of discussion for today. If you're new to these streams, I don't really do anything in the game because we're just in the process of moving our carrier. So I try to have a list of topics to talk about, and as you can see up there in the top left of the screen, that's what we're going to be covering today. Let me make sure I have my chat up in case anybody decides they want to say something. I can actually respond to that. It's kind of hard to do that when I don't have the screen up. So yeah, this is our weekly carrier reposition live stream. I think this is actually going to be the last carrier reposition that we can do using the fuel reserves that I bought and brought with us. So starting this week, I'm actually going to have to put in some extra time to do some mining, I think, because, yeah. That's why we bought the Type 8, and it's why we bought a bunch of different kinds of ships with us, so that I would have the ability to go and ideally mine all of the tritium that we need to make our jumps throughout the week and not have to take forever to get it done. Because the goal is to get this thing out into deep, deep space, where there's not going to be any stations or anything that we can actually purchase tritium from. So we'll have to rely on grabbing it ourselves, or maybe anybody who decides to make like a long trip out there and wants to like sell it to us or whatever. Like I'm open to that too. But ideally, we're going to be self-sufficient, so we got to start getting into that. So yeah, we're waiting on this first jump here. That's the introduction done, I do believe. So let's go ahead and start talking about the various topics that we have going on. So I entitled this section, Do We Really Care? And the reason for that is that I've been having a bunch of videos pop into my YouTube feed lately with passionate people with passionate ideals, imploring the rest of us to pay attention to the thing it is that they're worried about, whether it's I gotta avoid certain keywords because I don't want that stupid little flag to pop up under my video when you mention certain things. When it comes to videos talking about changes in the way that our planet interacts from a temperature standpoint, or just various different causes like that, where people are worried about this or they're worried about that, and they go out of their way. Oh, I'm sorry, we'll get to this in a second. I forgot we need to sell off our organic data. I forgot. I'm a little flustered this week because A, I forgot to schedule my live stream when we were done with the last one, so I had to do that. And then B, at the end of my last episode, we ended up not coming back to the carrier, so I just had to rush back there right before the stream to do that. So I am just like, I'm completely out there. But we made ourselves 210 million credits though, so that's pretty sweet. That's actually pretty sweet. So anyways, we were talking... there's a lot of people out there who feel very strongly about this or that cause or whatever it is. Now, lately there's been certain conflicts going on in certain parts of the world. Again, I'm trying to... you know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to not be super specific so that the algorithm doesn't flag my video for this or that, or put an unsightly banner at the bottom of my stuff, but you know what I'm talking about. And, there's a lot of people out there who are trying to shed light on the bad things that are happening and why they're bad and all of these other things. And, I think most people can sit there and watch a video like that. They can feel whatever it is that the person who is conveying that information wants them to feel. And in that moment, you probably feel a genuine sense of, whatever bad feeling or sad feeling or whatever it is that they're trying to get you to feel. And then you click off the video, you find something else to watch, and you completely forget about it. And that's kind of the focus for this particular topic, and it's kind of the focus for other people who may come across this live stream at some point and end up watching it, to try to get people to understand that people only care so much. So people only care so far as it directly affects their life and their things and those kind of things. People may go out of their way to perhaps donate some money, and if somebody feels strongly enough about it, there's a small portion of people who will feel strongly enough about whatever it is that you're trying to get them to care about that they'll actually, change their lives to make it happen. But the vast majority of people are too focused on their own lives, on their own survival, on their own trying to get whatever it is that they need out of their lives for their stuff, to get their stuff done, to be moved sufficiently to actually do something about whatever it is that you're worried about. And case in point is the whole, the whole change in the way everything feels. Temperature change. I'm hoping temperature change is good enough to avoid that keyword. We all know that letting the temperature rise over time is probably not the best thing for the world, but at the same time, the economy that we have, the global economy runs on fossil fuels, and there's a lot of people out there who are advocating for us to just completely walk away from that. And it's like, well, if we did that, if we do that too quickly, a lot of people are going to die. And there's plenty of people in the world who are perfectly willing to sacrifice people today on the off chance that it might save people tomorrow. And it's like, that doesn't seem like a reasonable trade-off to me. So the average person understands that, we need trucks, we need ships, we need all of these different things to continue making our modern life work. And while we understand that those things are slowly causing more and more problems with the world, until we have a reasonable replacement that actually doesn't cost an arm and a leg to make work, well, we don't really care. It's the whole you have to take care of the alligator that's right in front of you. You have to fend off the nearest alligator, And people get all up in arms over specific things, and they make it the end-all be-all, and they think that it should be everybody's end-all be-all. And most people just, like, especially people who have an extremist kind of mindset, they don't understand that you're not going to get the average person to care about your cause, especially when your solution to whatever problem it is going to make their lives significantly harder. So the question of, do we really care? We care insofar as it's convenient for us to care. And I think if most people are honest with themselves, they'll agree with that statement. You'll donate to charity if you have the extra money to do so. But if you're struggling to put food on your table, you're not trying to feed the orphan children. You know what I mean? Like, there's a hierarchy of needs that we have to consider when we're talking about whether we actually care about something or not. Now, you can care, but, you know, how much you care is heavily going to depend on, you know, where you are in your life, what you want out of your life, how close you are to attaining your goals, what your resources are, how dangerous you think whatever the thing is that they're warning you about actually is, versus is this just being something that's hyped up to make me like freak out and be controlled and let people, you know, let people tell me what to do. So I think it's just one of those things that pops into my head when I hear impassioned pleas for change, people who want radical change. Like I think that was the thing that really kind of had me mark this down as a topic to talk about. It's like people are talking about. I think I was watching the Joe Rogan podcast, and he had a couple of medical related people on. There was a doctor and then another pharma guy, or another guy who used to be in pharma, and they were trying to their message to the listeners of the program was something to the effect of, we need radical change in our food system, our medical system, our this or that. And, you know, while I tend to agree that those things need to change, one of the things that I disagree with the idea that it has to be some kind of radical overnight change is that most of the time when you upend everything, it tends to have some really strong unintended consequences. And while sometimes, yes, revolution is the only way to make something better, you need to make sure that revolution is the only way to make it better. Otherwise, a lot of people are going to get hurt, and if there was a better way that could have been done in a more measured stance, then, you know, a lot of people are going to get hurt and that didn't need to get hurt. So I guess my message for this particular topic is care about your subject, whatever it is that you think is important, but always keep in the back of your mind that not everybody's going to care about it the same way that you do, and your solutions to the problem need to be solutions that minimize the harm to the average person. Because just because you might be able to afford to switch over to something that's extremely expensive or whatever, the person who's just barely making it to put food on the table is not going to be able to just switch their life over like that. It just doesn't work that way. So yeah, that's my do we really care, which leads me into the next subject, which was the arrogance of experts. So let's go ahead and get the marker switched over. I have a little notepad document over here that is the source for all of this. That is the source. I don't think you can actually see the mouse cursor there. It's the source for all of the little topics over there on the left side of the screen. So every time I say update and save, it updates it over here. One of the, especially nowadays, how do I put this into words? There used to be a time when experts were more reliable than they are today. I mean, obviously, right? And like I said, I couldn't figure out a way to put that into words that didn't sound dumb. But the point I'm trying to get to is that I think public trust in experts is rightfully degraded over especially the last few years after the big V happened. But there's a lot of experts out there who are trying to get people to listen to what they have to say, and rather than providing us with solid reasons as to why, it turns into I'm in this position and you should just listen to me because. And the problem one of the base problems is that we as a society have offloaded our desire to know, and because it's easier to just have somebody tell you the way things are. Figuring things out for yourself requires you to sit down and research, to learn about subjects, to actually put time and effort into understanding how something works, why it works, what this change will do to this, what this change will do to that. And especially in our modern society, you know, even just understanding some of the more complex topics of what we have going on in anything is just really hard now. Like, I keep thinking, like, it would be really cool if I could sit down and try to invent something, but at this point I'm like, we've kind of invented all of the really super simple things that a backyard person could just kind of come up with, other than like little trinket, you know, gadget thingies that, you know, aren't really going to be life-changing things. Hello there, Sandra Little. Welcome to the stream. You know, it used to be that people were inventing things in their kitchens back, you know, 100 years ago that were making them super rich because it was something that changed people's lives, because it, you know, the things that we were inventing back then were still simple enough that you didn't need massive research departments just to make an incremental change towards whatever it is that you were doing. You saw something, you made a change to it. It was something that was it was a big enough change that it made people's lives easier, and people who had nothing were able to become super rich by marketing this product and making something that a bunch of people wanted. Now we live in an era where inventing anything that's going to make a meaningful change into someone's life requires massive resources and dozens of, you know, people with doctorate degrees and stuff like that to be able to come up with something like that. I mean, I'm sure there's the odd thing that, you know, random people come up with that actually still falls into that old category, but it's not the norm anymore. We're well past the part where, you know, jack of all trade inventors are a thing anymore. You really need to be hyper specialized in whatever it is that you're trying to do to have any chance of actually making some kind of a meaningful impact in whatever it is that you're trying to work on. So that, because things have become that way, and because the average person can't, we don't have time to sit down and learn all of this stuff. Like, I've been fortunate enough to, you know, and have plenty of spare time to be able to sit down and watch YouTube videos, read Wikipedia articles, all that kind of stuff. I have a generalized knowledge of a bunch of different stuff, but I don't have anywhere near the specialized knowledge I would need to be able to, like, I can't even come up with an example just because of the very, like, come up with a new kind of engine or something. Like, that's just not something that the amateur scientist person's really going to have much of a chance of doing these days, because we've gotten to the point where everything is so complex that you have to be an expert in whatever it is that you're doing to make a change. Now, the reason I explain all of that is that there's a reason why we have experts and why we have so many experts and why they're so specialized. It's because technology has gotten to that point. We need experts and we need those people to focus a lot of their time on a specific subject so that they can make these improvements and they can make all of these things better. But the problem is that because pretty much everything requires an expert, the average person just offloads their thought processes onto them and expects the expert to tell me what's going on, right? We'll get back to this topic in just a second. I like to sit and hang out while we watch these jumps happen. So let's enjoy the animation of the jump happening, and we'll get back to the topic here in a minute. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have arrived in our next thing here. We're going to have to wait for the cooldown for our drive to go to finish up here, and then we'll be able to schedule our next jump. Yeah, we should have enough tritium left in our reserves to be able to make the next 2 jumps and still have some spare left over. So, yeah, we had to wait for this next little 3 minutes here, and then we'll be able to schedule the next jump. So, yeah, experts. So, one of the things that is weird about, I don't want to say weird, but is natural about humans is that anytime we have something that somebody else doesn't have, we tend to develop this feeling of superiority over people. I know something you don't. And that creates a very large amount of arrogance, especially for people who have been in a position like that for long periods of time. They're used to people relying on them for expertise, for information, and ultimately to tell them what to do, because the person who needs this information can't make a decision without the expert opinion, because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to make this work. I need you to come and tell me what I need to do to get this to work right. And so, you know, there's hierarchies in nature, there's hierarchies in human behavior, and anytime you have somebody who is a subject matter expert, it's very easy for that person to start adopting an attitude of, oh, well, I'm the person who knows about this, so you should listen to me. And, you know, so there's a lot of arrogance in the people who get into positions of being able to convey information, convey what we should be doing. I know better than you because I have this specialized knowledge, so you should do what I say. And it starts to become, it's this whole elitist class that a lot of people don't like, myself included. I have no problem with intelligent people having a voice in the conversation, but at the same time, you know, just because you're a genius doesn't mean that you're always right. It just means you know a lot. It doesn't give you any kind of moral authority to decide what's right for everybody and how things should go. You may have a particular vantage point because of your increased knowledge, but as far as like what we're going to do as a group, that should just be a facet of the conversation and not the whole enchilada. So it's just I was watching that podcast, and that's what made me kind of put this one down as a topic of discussion, because it's like, you know, people get really fixated on the knowledge that they have, what they think the solution to the problem is, and then they want to put forward solutions that to them seem reasonable, but to the average person is like, dude, you're trying to wipe everything away, and I'm not comfortable with that. We need to make some slow changes so that we can see how things are being adjusted over time. So that's my thought on that. Lifestyle experts, yeah, right? Well, yeah, I mean, but the problem with those kind of experts is the problem with an expert of any kind is that you can only be considered an expert if you can convince people that you're an expert. So though I don't know that the word expert necessarily has a problem. It's more of just the deference that people give to somebody who appears to be an expert. I'm sure the word itself has some kind of a negative connotation to it, but it's more of just the fact that we as people just tend to subject ourselves to somebody who we feel has a position of relevance, who has a position of what we perceive to be authority. And until the average person remembers that experts are just human beings too, and they make mistakes, well, we end up having stupid things that happen. Let's go ahead and get ready for our next deal here. Is it? So I wonder if this is going to just update as soon as it's ready, or do I have to exit the map again? I think I might have to exit the map again. I don't think I can. Oops. I don't think I can be in the map when the timer goes away. So that sucks. We're going to waste a few seconds on this. Open the galaxy map. And then we go in here, do that, do that. All right, there we go. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess it just depends on the context. Obviously, anything online using the word expert, I'm going to take with a massive grain of salt, because there's no way to verify that. Somebody who has a doctorate degree in whatever it is, I'm still going to treat it with a grain of salt, because there's a lot of doctorate degrees out there that are complete BS. But at the same time, if it comes from an accredited institution that hasn't completely squandered its reputation, I'm going to take that. I'm going to be more apt to believe that that person knows what they're talking about, and I should give their opinion more weight than I would just some random person. But again, it's just weight. It's not necessarily the entire opinion. So I agree with what you're saying about the, you know, the online experts. Virtually all of them you shouldn't listen to anything they say without doing a bunch of research on your own. It's like Wikipedia. Like online experts are the same as Wikipedia. You can't trust anything that's there until you go find a credible source on your own and do the research. So I agree with that, but the word expert itself, you know, that's a very broad term. I wonder what ship we should use for the next thing. I haven't really decided what we're going to use. We've gone through several of our ships. We'll get to the next topic here in a second. We'll get to the next topic here in a second, but we've gone through several of our ships already over the course of the several weeks that we've been doing this. We just finished using the ASP, and I'm thinking that maybe we should suck it up and get the Beluga out of the way this week. I'm not going to use the Cutter because it's such a whale, even compared to the Beluga. It's just it moves, it turns and moves so slowly. I don't know that I'm ever going to use the Corvette either. But the Beluga is is the ship I wish was the premier exploration vessel in this game, because it should be. It really, really should be. Most of the exploration, or most of the passenger missions that you get, or a lot of the passenger missions that you get, especially the ones that cater to rich people, are go visit this awesome site kind of things. And it just kills me that this ship isn't like the premier large exploration vessel in this game. Well, I guess the first thing that we need to do is we need to remove all of this. Well, actually, I don't think I actually did any. I think I left this one equipped with what it had. So I think we don't need to remove anything. I have a bunch of engineered equipment that I swap between ships. But I think for this particular, I think for my Asp Explorer and my Crate Phantom, I think that just has equipment. I don't think I need to do anything to it. So let's hop into here. We'll take a second to see if we have everything that we need to outfit this. Oh, this one already has mostly everything in it. Never mind. So I guess I went through and okay, and it has 46 light year, 47 light year jump range. So I don't even need to do anything with this one. I didn't realize I had already done that. All right, so now we have our Beluga. Okay, so next thing I wanted to talk about was AI model reliability. Now, let me preface this with my disclaimer. I am not an AI expert in any capacity. I just have a general idea of what experts that I've heard, what I've listened to on YouTube are saying about it, and my own personal experience using like Gemini and a couple of the other large language models that are available to the general public. There has been a push for a long time, or there's been this perception for a long time that AI is going to come in and wipe out everybody's jobs and all of this other stuff. And to a certain extent, that is absolutely true. I think that there are a lot of jobs out there that are going to become redundant because managers are becoming a little bit more savvy about using these tools, and they don't really need a personal assistant anymore for this or that. Now, it's not going to become widespread. I'm not saying that, you know, all of these things are going away, but I do believe that certain types of office-related work are becoming harder to get, and the jobs are kind of going away because either they're outsourcing it to other countries where they can pay less, or they're dispersing the workload amongst fewer people who can use AI to do most of the research and work and all that kind of stuff. Now, the reason I bring this up as a topic is that, especially in my own personal experience, I have found that AI as it exists right now, at least the publicly available ones that I've been able to get access to, isn't exactly the most reliable thing in the world. Sometimes I will ask it questions, and on a semi-regular basis, I'll get back answers that I personally know to not be accurate. And, you know, you just kind of have to understand that there's a reason for that, and it's because these large language models are searching the internet. The models themselves aren't necessarily capable of verifying whether a source is true or not, and because the AI model needs to hurry up and get you a response quickly to keep you engaged and interested, I don't believe that they necessarily prioritize spending a bunch of time verifying sources and things like that. Now, you'll get sources included with the responses for these things that you do, but unless they come up with a way for the AI software to actually verify those sources, well, kind of is what it is. And if it ends up in its quick search trying to find an answer for you, it ends up perusing a source that is not worthy of being considered a source, then you're going to end up getting really bad answers to questions that have absolutely no bearing in reality. So, you know, I honestly don't remember when what it was that made me see that, but like one of the warnings that I would hope would be kind of dispersed out there, especially in the workforce and things like that, is that we're not yet at the point where you can trust AI to actually give you reasonable results. One of the videos, I know there was a video I saw recently that was talking about computer programmers using AI to write their code for them. And then the reality of that situation was that there were so many errors in it that they spent more time correcting the code to get the results that they were trying to get than it would have been to just sit down and actually write it for themselves. So, you know, you got to kind of weigh the benefits and costs and all of that stuff. And the problem is that you know, for the average, I know I'm just wandering around the carrier. I'm just trying to keep some kind of visual movement happening. The problem is that, especially for somebody who's mired in a bunch of work and they're not really paying attention to how long it takes to get each thing done, they might not realize that they're actually spending more time trying to utilize this tool and then fix its mistakes than it would be to just write it themselves. Like, it's really easy to fall into that time trap of thinking that this tool is saving me time, but it's not saving your time, and you're not paying attention to how much time you're spending on it. And, you know, you're spending 25% more time doing this or 30% more time doing that, and, you know, you don't realize it. So I just want to make sure that everybody, especially anybody who comes across this particular video, understands that, you know, AI is not necessarily a reliable tool yet. And I personally treat it like Wikipedia anytime I ask it a question. It's great to ask questions. It's great to kind of throw ideas at it and, you know, maybe get a different perspective on something that you're doing. Like, for example, I've had this idea of this submarine yacht in my head, and I had an extended conversation with it about the different design features and things, and it brought up some concerns that I hadn't thought about as part of my, you know, it's just a vague fantasy design that I have in my head. It's not anything serious. I don't have, like, it would take millions of dollars to even prototype something like what I want to do, like what I would want to do. But it was an interesting thought experiment to have with the AI as a conversation, because, you know, it brought up some interesting situations that I hadn't thought about. So, you know, it's a useful tool for certain things to do, but as a production assistant, I don't know how much faith I would place in it for the foreseeable future, because I think that the large language model as a concept isn't necessarily the best way to go, because all it does is it just aggregates a bunch of information, and you know that information is based off of what we give it. And if we give it a bunch of crap, then we're going to get a bunch of crap out of it. And that's just kind of the way that it works. Until we can get to the point where we can create logically thinking, reasoning programs that are able to kind of figure things out and, you know, at least have some kind of deductive reasoning to figure out what's true and what's not, who can actually go through and verify that the information that they're getting is actually real and not just something somebody posted online and things like that, I would be highly skeptical of anything that you get from an AI language model. I don't care how good it is. I don't care who made it. You know, what organization that has all kinds of credibility is trying to say that their model is capable of. You also have to remember that there's a profit motive behind all of this too. So every company, no matter how big or how well established they are, they're going to tout their model and try to make you think that it's the best thing since sliced bread. So just keep that in mind when you're using these AI models, that you need to go back and fact check your own AI when you're using it, because I guarantee you it's not fact checking itself. It's not capable of that, and you got to do it. It just is what it is. So yeah, that's my little spiel on AI. Next, being offended. Man, the last 10 years has been one of those. I don't know. I don't understand. I kind of understand, but I don't really understand this whole being offended thing, regardless of what it's about. Now, I tend to be the kind of person for whom other people's opinions don't necessarily matter to me that much. which is kind of weird because I'm putting myself out there online and you would think that I would care, but I actually kind of don't, so long as I'm not affecting my channel in a negative way. So I care insofar that, you know, I'm kind of careful about what I say and what I do and the kinds of topics that I cover, because I want to make sure that, you know, there are certain things that don't come in and yank my channel off and make it completely unviable. But at the same time, I'm not particularly interested in anybody's opinion of me. And if you don't like me, I don't really care. I mostly just want to avoid drama. And that's kind of my focus when it comes to avoiding certain things. It's not that I want people to like me. It's that I just don't want to get all the angry comments and have to read all that crap. So, where I'm leading to with this is I don't understand this modern culture of people being offended by things all the time. It's like, where did the individual strength of people go where they could go out into the world and, you know, I believe what I believe and that's all that matters. I don't care if you agree with me. I just want to, I think what I think, I do what I do. I can do what I do. You can do what you do. And we don't have to interact if we don't want to. And I can respect that you believe what you believe, and you can respect that I believe what I believe, and I don't have to hate you because you think differently from me. I feel like there was a time in the world at large, but in the United States specifically, where you know, we actually really felt that way, where we really believed that way. Now, obviously, there's exceptions to that. Obviously, for extended periods of time, there were certain groups of people that didn't like other groups of people, but society in general, at least when you were dealing with within your group, I'm trying to be very careful about how I put this, because I don't want algorithms to bug me, and B, I don't want to get angry comments, but you know, there was a time where at least we believed in the idea that you were free to have your own opinion. You could think what you want. I don't have to agree with you to be able to go live my life and you live your life, and we can work together on the things that we have to work together on, and we can differ on the things that we differ on. I feel like there were periods of time where we were at least closer to that than we are right now. And a lot of it just comes from the fact that there's no emotional hardness anymore. Like, there's a softness that has creeped into our society, where people feel like it's okay and that your feelings matter. Like, I don't understand this idea where people feel like other people need to care about how you feel about something. Like, we don't care. We don't care, especially if you're not in my life and I don't know you personally. I don't have any kind of, you know, investment in you as a person. Then your emotions don't mean anything to me, and I don't care, and I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about your personal life. I don't want to hear about your what you think about this. That's why we have the system of government that we have. You vote your vote, I vote my vote, and that's the end of it. And then the people, whoever has, whichever idea has the most people who agree with it, that's what we do. And the rest of us are like, well, I guess that's what we're doing now. Obviously not for, you know, terrible things like, you know, something that's going to hurt me. I'll fight back on that. But it's just this idea where people feel like they need their feelings need to be validated, and I don't understand that. I think this particular topic came from some kind. I was watching a video that was talking about somebody who was doing something related to video games. And they posted on Twitter this long diatribe about how they didn't like this and they didn't like that and blah blah blah. And it's like, we don't care. Like, who are you? We don't care about your personal opinions, and I certainly don't care about your feelings. Like, but there's just the point of this particular topic is that just there's way too much of this sense of entitlement with people, where they feel like because they feel a certain way about something, you better know about it. You better respect how I feel about this. No, I don't care about how you feel about this. Your feelings are the last thing I'm worried about when I'm thinking about how I'm going to approach something. Too many people have just adopted this idea that we need to modify society, and everyone else needs to worry about how they're going to do things, what they're going to say, how they're going to say it, so that we don't hurt anybody's feelings. And I don't get that. I don't understand this idea that I have to change how I behave because you don't like it. Like, as long as I'm not actively, aggressively assaulting you either verbally or physically, shut up. Leave me alone. I don't need to hear your opinion. I mean, so let me change that. I don't care about your opinion. I believe you should be free to speak your opinion, but I don't have to care about your opinion. And there's just too much of this trying to enforce people from saying and doing certain things just because, oh, I don't like that. I disagree with that. I disagree with that particular philosophy. But yeah, that's probably enough about that one. We're getting ready to do another jump here pretty quick, so we'll mark the next topic. We'll wait for the jump to happen, and then we'll start talking about money and greed here in the next segment. It's definitely a it's a problem everywhere. It's a problem. You're absolutely right. It's a problem everywhere. It's funny how it's more of a problem in the more developed parts of the world. Poor people don't have people who are barely surviving don't have time to be offended. It's a luxury. It's a luxury problem. Enjoying another jump. I say this every stream, but I am a big fan of the jump process for the carrier. It just, I don't know. There's just something visceral about it that just speaks to me. The sounds, the visual, and then that awesome horn at the end when we're done. Copy the next thing here. We are going to have to wait for the cooldown again. Right. Cool. Yeah, I love that horn. I'm a big fan. All right, another 3.5 minute cooldown or whatever for the 3.5 minute cooldown. We'll let that sit there for a minute. So, money and greed. I really need to start writing down notes for this stuff because I'm trying to... So as I go throughout my week, I have a list that I'm trying to fill up just to make sure I have topics to talk about during this, because it gets kind of boring when I'm just sitting here waiting for the countdown and I'm just randomly trying to come up with things to talk about. It's far more interesting when you actually have thought out things that you actually have something to say about. But for this particular topic, I don't really remember what it was that sparked that particular thing. I was watching Battle Vortex earlier today on his live stream, and there was a person who came in and was talking about how video game companies are focusing so much on money that they're taking away all of the fun because they're just trying to find every way to insert like microtransactions and all this other stuff in there. That wasn't necessarily the point that they were making, but that's just how that's just the overall opinion of a lot of people on the internet. One of the things that we have to understand about money is that money is what we're using to represent value. And, we have that phrase, money is the root of all evil and all that stuff. Not really. I mean, money is just what we use to represent and to make it easy to do transactions between each other rather than having to do some kind of crazy barter system where you're having to lug this around or lug that around. You just have these nice pieces of paper that represent a certain amount of value, and it allows you to conduct transactions so that you can do it easily and quickly. I think the biggest thing that I want to get out of this particular topic, especially for this live stream that we're doing here, and I mentioned it during the stream, is that most of us like to assume that because we don't have options that we... So, all right, there's a what's the word I'm looking for? There's a truth out there, or there's a mindset out there where... I'm sorry, I'm having a really hard time. I have 2 or 3 different things that are rolling around in my head, and I'm trying to get them in order. I don't understand why it's I don't understand why it's not clicking for me. Okay, so people like Jordan Peterson and a couple of other guys, but I'm pretty sure it's primarily Jordan Peterson. I do watch some of his stuff sometimes. He talks about good people versus or peaceful people versus pathetic people. I can't remember what term he uses, but regardless, I think his idea is sound. there's a lot of people out there who hide behind their cowardice to try to make themselves seem like they're good, but the reality is that they're just incapable of doing bad things. And because they don't really have the choice of doing bad things, it doesn't make them virtuous that they don't hurt anybody. To be a good person, you have to be capable of doing bad things, and you choose not to. You exercise the discipline not to. I think I do agree with that particular mindset. And so the reason I bring that up is because I think it applies when it comes to the whole everybody hates greed thing. Everybody hates greed until they're in a position that they can act on their greed. And then all of a sudden greed isn't such a bad thing anymore. So it's easy for those of us who have never had the kind of money where greed can actually become a thing to say, there are bad people, they shouldn't be doing this, they should be trying to do good things for good people, they have all this money and they shouldn't be trying to hoard it for themselves. But I think it says something that, for the most part, I think for the vast majority of people who end up coming into money, what do they do? Do they do charitable things outside of doing charitable things that provide them with a benefit? Do they do those things? I think almost universally, when somebody gets a lot of money, their mindset changes on the whole greed thing. Like all of a sudden it's like, oh, I have all this money. What can I do with this money? Am I going to give most of it away, or am I going to try to figure out ways to make sure I get more money? See what I'm saying? So, especially when it's coming from people who don't have money, and I don't have money. I mean, I've never had any significant amounts of money. But like that's why I don't say things like that, because I understand that me down here with no options, I don't have the choice of having that kind of money and being able to do something good with it, or having some kind of a company where I'm able to choose to prioritize this over making more money. You know, you can only really have a judgment on that if you're in that position yourself, because I guarantee the vast majority of people who come into that kind of money are going to do the same thing that everybody else did who came into money. It's just the way it works. It's human nature to just, you know, especially for something that provides you with access to freedom and decisions and, you know, hopefully the kind of life that you've always dreamt of. You're not going to give that away, and you're certainly not going to make decisions that are going to make getting those things harder for yourself. So, you know, my point is that, you know, the people who say things like that aren't in a position like that. The people who have money, they don't say stuff like that, and the people who don't have money and do say things like that are by definition almost certainly going to be the kind of people who become like that, because that's just how we are. It's how we are as people. We're always trying to get something for ourselves, and you know, we say we care about everybody else, but then you win the lottery, and what do most people do? They piss it away. Like that's just statistically what happens. So yeah, that's that. Okay, so on to some more positive things, hopefully. We are in the last jump here, so we're going to kind of try to move through the last few topics here relatively quickly compared to what I've been saying. Chasing unrealistic dreams, and this one is specifically relating to what I'm doing right now. You know, I've mentioned in the past that things have gone in a way for me that isn't necessarily the way I would have chosen for them to go. And I'm doing things now that I wouldn't have considered doing 10 years ago. The idea of turning YouTube or content creation or anything like that into an income source for myself is just like, even right now, even with as far as I've gotten so far, which is farther than what most people will ever see on any kind of platform, it still seems crazy to me to think that I could build something on the internet that would provide me with a stable income and, you know, maybe open access to the kinds of dreams that I've had my whole life. And for some people like me, chasing unrealistic dreams is just really hard to do, because it's one of those things where you see that it's something that could be possible, but then you sit down, and especially if you're analytical, you sit down and you look at the statistics, the numbers, the real world values of how likely it is for something like that to actually work out for you as a person. And it kind of makes you shudder when you think about it, because you're just like, I have a less than 1% chance of making this something that, you know, meaningfully contributes to my life. Like, so far I've been doing it pretty much full time, and I'm doing it mostly for free. And you know, that's fine. Any business that you start, you're going to spend the first few years of it not really making any money. That's just kind of the way that it goes. And the only thing that really keeps me going is just the fact that, you know, I'm in the top, I think, 10% of channels just by my subscriber count, and the fact that I've become a YouTube partner. Like, there's so many channels out there, and relatively few of them actually make it past the 1,000 subscriber point. Now, that's not me bragging. That's me being surprised that I actually got that far. It's like, me? I got that far? What? So, you know, incremental steps towards your goal absolutely helps you with motivation. The only reason I continue to come back and actually continue making videos is because I am making incremental gains towards where I'm trying to be. But still, you know, what I would like to get out of all of this seems impossibly unrealistic, based off of, you know, the kind of person that I am, the kind of content that I'm willing to make, because I'm not interested in making all kinds of crazy, flashy content that's going to, you know, that tends to grab everybody's attention. I want to create something that is giving you guys a part of myself, a genuine part of myself, and I'm not flashy. I don't do that stuff. So, you know, it just doesn't seem to address your last statement there. Sorry, it depends on forced ads during live streams. I have ads turned on for my live stream, so you have to understand. Unless you're going to pay for the YouTube Premium service, the only way I make money off of my live stream is if you watch ads. So as much as I hate watching ads myself, and, you know, I personally have found ways to get around that process, and I encourage you to as well, even though it doesn't serve me. The reality is that YouTube makes money off of ads, and if you don't watch ads, I don't make any money. YouTube content creators don't make any money, because that's the method that is currently the way that things work. So, no, I have ads turned on my stream. That's what I'm telling you. Like, I have ads turned, I have monetization for this stream turned on, and the way monetization works in YouTube is that I have ads. So I would much rather YouTube be more of a premium only service, to where you pay. It's like Netflix. You pay for the service, and then the content creator gets a portion of the total revenue based off of how much time people spent watching your content. I think that would be a very fair way of compensating creators, and it would also make the experience for the viewer much better. But unfortunately, we have moved into this time frame where you as the viewer are the product, and ads are the way that things work. So, and the reality is that the YouTube will make far more money off of, has a far higher earning potential on ads than they would by some kind of flat rate subscription model. So it's kind of this unfortunate way that it works. I understand what you're saying. I understand missing out on things that are being said during an ad. Mid-roll ads are part of the thing. I don't remember the settings allowing me to choose whether there's mid-rolls. I'll try to remember to look at that next time, because if I can just have it at the beginning and at the end, I don't know. I don't remember if it allows me to change that. I'll try to remember to check that next time. But yeah, I mean, it's just if you're trying to make your channel something that is an income stream for you, you know, you got to play the devil's game, and it just kind of is what it is. I would much rather it just be some kind of subscription model, and then I just get a portion of however I get paid based off of how long people watch. That would be a much better system for the customer, but then Google isn't going to make crazy amounts of money off of advertising, so that's never going to happen. But I mean, yeah, that the video is pausing and I definitely understand missing out on content because an ad pops in. I don't know. I think it would be kind of. I think a decent solution to that would be something to the effect of maybe something pops up and gives us a warning that, hey, there's an ad about to happen. Everybody has an ad at the same time, and then I can just be like, oh, okay, we'll hold on for a second and wait for the ad break. I don't know how well that would actually work, but it would at least address your concern about missing content. And maybe that's something that they could add into the settings to allow it to work that way. Because then I could just be like, oh, all right, well, we have an ad break here in 5 seconds, so I'll see you on the other side of it. And then I chill out, wait for the ad to go away, and then we continue. That would be better. I totally understand and agree with your concern. I don't know a way around it. Because, you know, the only, like me as a content creator, the only way I could get around that is if I did members only live streams, but I don't really want to do that because that limits the amount of people I can reach with my stream. So it's either don't monetize my stream, which to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not going to do, or figure out a way to get people to pay me to do the stream, which most people aren't going to want to do because people have gotten used to the free model. So you're going to pay for it somewhere. You're either going to pay for it by watching ads, or you're going to pay for it out of your pocketbook, and it's the reality of the situation. It's the reality of YouTube. It's the reality of this kind of a platform. Unfortunately, the paid platforms like Amazon or Amazon at the very least is starting to force ads down your throat even when you're paying for it, and that's something I'm getting kind of upset with. But anyways, back to the topic at hand. I've always been the kind of person who struggles to go after things that I feel are unlikely to happen, because it feels like a waste of time when given the fact that it has a high chance of not working out. I don't like to waste time. I can't stand wasting time. I hate doing something only to find out that I hate doing something only to find out that all that time and effort I put in, it was for nothing. So I just, doing something like YouTube just seems like such a big waste of time to me. It seemed like such a big waste of time to me for a long time, because the chances of it actually working out versus the amount of time and effort you have to put into making videos and things like that just seems like a big, massive waste of time. Why am I going to do that? But then life circumstances kind of conspired to make it to where the only thing I had left to do was to try to do this, and somehow it's actually sort of working. It's not growing as fast as I would like it to, obviously, but it's going in that direction, kind of, sort of. So I guess the moral of that story is, if you have some kind of an unrealistic dream that seems like you could never get it done, you should go after it anyway, because you never know. You never know. Manual trigger mid-roll ads. Okay. Yeah, I need to go back and look at the monetization, because I get into habits and I just click through windows. And so I just need to go back through the next time I set up the monetization for another stream and just pay attention to that and see if I can do that. Because if I can manually trigger that, that might be something worth looking into. All right, last couple of things before we're going to end our stream here. The DCS Hornet Flight School campaign that I've been working on. If you play DCS, I've been working on for a very long time, off and on, a flight training campaign for the Hornet in DCS. It basically takes you all the way through all the basic stuff that you needed to learn. Navigation, air-to-ground, air-to-air, carrier operations, things like that. I bring it up here because, you know, I kind of like to... I'm kind of trying to motivate myself to keep working on it, because I'm past the point where I've made the missions, and I've mostly verified that they all work. I'm kind of going back and re-verifying just to make sure, because I haven't touched it in a while. But there's a lot of attention to detail things that need to happen once I finish that initial, hey, does the mission actually do what I want it to do? Got to make sure the narrations make sense. Got to make sure the narrations match the text that gets displayed. You know, just a bunch of little hours and hours of just sitting through and going through mind-numbing detail to make sure that I'm putting out a professional product, because I want to sell it. I mean, this is hours and hours and hours and hours of work, and I'm hoping it's going to be of a quality where you're going to get a value for it. So I finished up the dogfighting one today, making sure that actually worked for the most part. But I suck at dogfighting, and I wasn't able to actually shoot down the guy because I'm not good like that. I started making the thing because I needed something a little bit more than what the basic missions, the basic tutorial missions that were provided with the Hornet provided. And I figured that making my own campaign would teach me and help me learn all of the different things that I needed to learn about the Hornet. And so, yeah, I'm kind of hoping I can finish it up finally in the next couple of months or something like that, post it up and see if people like it. And if it becomes something that's relatively successful, maybe I'll grab some other aircraft and start trying to do that. But yeah, I'm most of the way through the... I split it up into 4 different blocks. I got the navigation block where you learn how to do... GPS data entry for waypoints, radio navigation, all that kind of stuff. And then there's the air-to-ground block where you learn how to drop bombs and, you know, shoot rockets and stuff like that. Then there's the air-to-air block where you learn how to, you know, do things in the air, work your radar, all that kind of stuff. The air-to-ground stuff includes all of the seed and everything. And then the last block is the carrier operations, where you actually go out to do the carrier. And the way I'm kind of helping out with that particular block is that you're required to do a case 1 landing every time you land throughout the entire flight school. So from the very first time after you learn the case 1 pattern, every time you finish a mission, you have to do a case 1 landing at the field, which means which is the pattern that you fly to go around the carrier and land. So that way, by the time you get out to the carrier, you've already done it, you know, what, 20 or 30 times by then, and you have it down to a science. And then now when you're actually trying to land on the carrier, you already know what you're doing, so you're not like trying to do it for the first time. I find that trying to do it when you're having to hit this tiny little spot in the ocean, the lesson that they have for it, very difficult to do for me. So being able to like, just kind of do it on the ground and not have to worry about all that stuff and just get the pattern down the repetition of that will make it second nature for you. So ideally that's the way that's going to work. I'll get it finished eventually. I'm making a video series on it, so you can go follow it over on the channel there. Last thing, Deep Space Racing League. This is not something that exists yet. It's something that I'm kind of trying to push out there. I'm hoping that more and more that some people will become interested in it. If you are interested in racing at all, head over to the Discord. If I can get enough people interested who want to do racing around the galaxy, we'll use my carrier as the home base. Then maybe we'll try to we'll try to establish something real, put together maybe some different categories and things like that. Ship racing in canyons, SRV racing, whatever. I think it would be kind of cool to do some kind of like a deep space racing league. I mean, just to say that we're able to go way out in deep space and race out there. It would just be kind of cool to do. It'll also give people who are interested in exploration something extra to do, because while you're out there doing all of your exploration-related activities, you could be looking out for cool places that you think people might like to race. So, something like that. So anyways, we're in the last minute of our stream here. I always like to end out with the last jump here. So I'm going to go ahead and say thank you very much for hanging out with me for this hour for the Carrier Reposition stream that we do every week. Be sure to come back next week at 6 p.m. Pacific, where we're going to do the same thing, talk about different subjects. Hit the like button to share the stream out with other people, because it will be recorded for posterity. Subscribe to the channel to help us reach our next major channel milestone of 10,000 subscribers. If you would like to support our work here, you can join the channel as a member. It will give you early access to all of our videos and other perks depending on which of the 2 tiers that you choose. Or you can just click YouTube's version of a tip with the thanks button. So again, thank you very much for watching this Carrier live stream. Be sure to come back for future Elite Dangerous videos, hunting videos, DCS videos, all other kinds of videos that we're doing. Be sure to come back next week for our live stream to hang out live and chat with me here and everybody else on the stream. And I'll see you then. 3, 2, 1.
Carrier jump complete. Please stand by while final checks are processed.